Ladies and gentlemen, John Durham is testifying, had a very interesting exchange with Adam Schiff, which was hilarious. Schiff tried to say, you broke department policy by saying that the Inspector General was wrong. And then John Durham calmly states that he didn't break any policy, and if he did, so what? The investigation was wrong in his viewpoint, in his professional opinion. They should never have investigated Donald Trump. The Mueller probe obviously was a complete failure, proved that all of their apoplectic obsessions with Trump and being an operative of another country were completely fabricated. And then Schiff got nowhere with the exchange. Eventually, John Durham indicts him in the court of public opinion, Congressman Schiff, and at the end of the day, he's going to be condemned formally, fined by the House of Representatives to the tune of, I think, $16 million, something like that, dollars. And at the end of the day, it's just confirmation. John Durham's testimony is confirmation that they fabricated an investigation into Trump. These are the same people that pontificate about Trump lying and truth and information that misinforms. The greatest people, the greatest examples of information that misinforms can be found the past 7 years when they lied through their teeth, especially certain people in Congress, about Trump working for another country. It never happened. The Mueller probe found not a shred of evidence, nothing, literally nothing, that Trump, to back up the claim that Trump was an operative of another country. John Durham's investigation, although it would have been better had there been more convictions, there was a very important plea deal with a top bureau official and attorney who pled guilty to lying to a FISA judge. Okay. Then you had the indictments themselves. The D.C. jury was never going to side with Durham. Okay, you don't have equal justice in this country. A jury in New York, a jury in D.C. Will side, let's just say, oftentimes with either a government bureaucrat or a criminal. I might be repeating myself there, but a bit redundant, but that's what's going to take place. Florida jury with Trump, the classified data indictment, almost certainly going to be a mistrial. They don't have anything on Trump. They don't even have the document that he said that he was supposed to have waived in the audio. The New York indictment is a complete farce. These are misdemeanors that they elevated to a felony. Meanwhile, the crime rate is soaring. Things are happening in these cities that you could, the most, the most heinous atrocities are taking place. And, of course, New York's going after Trump. That's the main focus of Democrats has always been political. It's almost always never moral. Okay, they have this view of themselves, and I used to be a lifelong Democrat before I became more conservative on things and started supporting former President Donald Trump. The average, wonderful, morally superior, highly educated liberal Democrat, and by the way, hit subscribe to this channel right now, because I used to be on that political spectrum. I can tell you the mindset and the psychology and the emotional state. They convince themselves that anything the government does that backs their political party is apolitical, the rule of law, democracy, the republic, and everything good in life. So when the United States government accuses an innocent man in Trump of things he didn't do, just like what they're doing in New York and with the special counsel, okay, the wonderful, highly educated, morally superior liberal Democrat says, it's the rule of law. As they actively protect and cover up serious felonies like Democrats like Clinton and Hunter and Joe committed serious felonies. We know Clinton did with servers. You cannot have private servers. It is impossible to siphon classified data from servers located within the U.S. government onto your unencrypted, at one point unencrypted private secret servers that even President Obama didn't know of. But they tell the greatest lies. Of course President Obama knew of Clinton's servers. That's a greater lie. That lie is more directly involved with national security than anything Trump has ever lied about or said or, engaged in a hyperbolic statement. Trump doesn't lie the way Democrats he doesn't tell the grandiose lies the Democrats tell. When Attorney General Loretta Lynch and Bill Clinton were on a plane in Arizona and on the tarmac, they weren't just discussing golf, Brexit, and, other issues. They were talking about the investigation that eventually the Honorable James Comey couldn't find intent regarding servers. So when President Obama, for example, says, I didn't know of those servers, I watched CNN, it's the most absurd lie. You'd have to be a complete and utter imbecile to believe that the President of the United States didn't know his Secretary of State had secret private servers running independently from the U.S. government. But there's no fact check. The Washington Post would never fact check that. So one of the ways they deceive people is they say the most absurd and outlandish statements, and you're just supposed to believe it. But with Trump, when he tells a true statement, like he's innocent, he was never working for another country. No, they don't believe him. We have to investigate. That's like when Trump says 2 years ago, this happened, that happened. There was no investigation. They keep saying, well, bureaucrats. There were a number of investigations on the state level. There were no independent investigations. And then when the independent investigations do take place, there are a million questions overshadowed by an avalanche of negative media coverage. So when Democrats make baseless claims, which they do almost always, there are no investigations to make, before the claims are proven false. When they make a baseless claim, there are endless investigations. So investigations like the Mueller probe, and then 2 special counsels, and then they still have the weakest cases against Trump. They're obsessed with Trump. You understand? They disown friends and family. They backstab friends and family or people they know because of politics. They're the ones, it's not the Trump supporter that is obsessed with in a cult. It is the wonderful, morally superior, highly educated liberal Democrat who thinks that John Durham is wrong and Adam Schiff and others are right when they accuse Trump of working with the Kremlin. He never did. It is a fact he never did. It was an obsession, an apoplectic, hysterical obsession for 7 years. They created, Democrats, a new Cold War, a McCarthy-era Red Scare, fantasy that people truly believed on the left because they were mortified. When Clinton lost to Trump, they were mortified. They were so embarrassed, it was like the end of the world. So anything was justified. And that's the sad thing with Trump. Anything's justified. When you issue a rebuttal, which is another reason why most Democrats don't want to debate. When you issue a rebuttal, they get enraged because their entire worldview crumbles. They can't possibly fathom a rebuttal to the deceit and the lies they believe about Trump, whether it's the quotes he made, whether the things he did. We had objectively a better life with Trump than with mashed potato brains. And all they could focus on, we had record-breaking economic numbers. We had record highs in household median income, a record low in poverty. That was a fact. And I read an article, he's not an anti-war president. Yeah, he is. Are you kidding me? He brought home Americans. Not that the left cares about that. He brought home Americans, men and women, from never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts through the Doha Agreement that Biden completely botched, that he reluctantly adhered to. Those 13 Americans should be alive today. There's over 100 Afghans should be alive today. Blinken and Biden You could look at their foreign policy. Anyway, hit subscribe to this channel right now. John Durham did a number in Congress. Give me your thoughts.